All right, welcome back to the 80 Star Basketball Channel, the only star basketball channel, bringing to you some auctions that end today and tomorrow. There's actually a lot on eBay. There's a few things I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the Koch, a little bit of follow up on the Koch Moncrief, and I wanted to talk about one thing I'm seeing with auctions, and there's a lot of little auctions there, or not little, mid auctions, not 101s. Tony, covers the auctions and stuff, but I'm trying to show there was just a bunch ending in these mid and low grades, and I wanted to share those today. So that was just something important I was watching, and I also want to talk about the 101s. One thing I'm seeing is, and it's kind of an interesting thing that I have tracked since the beginning. And one thing for of the channel and prior to that, which is going on about 2 years now, I have daily tracked how many 101s are up for auction. And I kind of using a thumb, not a kind of a statistical thing with alts pull in. It doesn't pull in everything, and I have to know about some from every auction house, but it does pull in enough that I've been able to track and gives me kind of at least a databases to sit on as far as how many 101s are up. And I will say that they are lower right now than they've been in quite a while. One thing I'm seeing is I'm seeing prices stabilize and starting to trickle up kind of thing, go up. I'm seeing, there definitely isn't breaching a bottom unless, it's on an auction house that isn't widely viewed or a platform that isn't widely viewed. But sales is kind of strong across the board. And it talked to that. Tony talked about the auctions that he noticed that there was possible, unusual bidding activity. And Tony and I talked, and my take on that is that auctions, anytime you're doing any high end card on eBay, you have to be really careful, or really anywhere. But eBay is, since the fees are less, there can be, in consigners, you can have shill bidding, or you can have people trying to price protect or drive up their price a little. But those auctions actually ended about where I thought they would end at. And I don't know if there was anything. Tony showed and said, come to your own conclusion. So I like that. It kind of pointed that out. But the main overarching theme is for any card. If you're buying a 52, mantle, or you're buying a 51 Bowman rookie mantle, those kind of things, and 101s and 86 Fleer. I've seen, cosigners. There's certain sellers on eBay that I've definitely seen with 86 Fleer, all the same type of bid stuff. And you just have to be so careful when you're bidding on something. Know your price that you want to pay, and get into something. But that's kind of my take. But anyway, these auctions, I have noticed that Jordan 101s are down right now as far as supply. So that's kind of coinciding with prices going up. Currently, there's three auctions. There's this BGS 8 that I've looked at, that the centering on this is, really, really solid. That's one thing I did notice. It's one of those that I looked at. It's like, is this a hair thin? But I can't totally tell. So give me what your thoughts on are. But it's very, very well centered. That's why I don't think it's thin, but it might be. If it is by the hairest of hairs. But really good centering on this 8, and this is a 7 crossover candidate, because BGS gives, if it had a creased or a little corner ding, it would have a 7, and it doesn't have that. It has an 8. It just means that there's white on it. So it would be anywhere from a 6 to a possible 7, though, with the centering, because this is really well centered 101. And you have a little bit on the bottom, but the top is supposed to be a little thicker. So I love this 8. That's one of the ones I'm looking at, and 2 just came up in golden, and Tony will talk to that when he gets there. But I did want to follow up. So real quick before I go into the auctions, the Koch Moncrief, I wanted to follow up on, just because there was some interesting action afterwards. The immediately after I put out my video last week, looks like one sold, and the same seller, who obviously has multiple of these cards, put up another one, kind of raising the price. And it does look like that these are selling, legitimately, and they are selling, and not just here, but this person has about half of them. and it's kind of trying to see supply and demand. However, another Koch came up in the group. It did have has a couple white corners on it, and the condition wasn't as good, so the ask was a lot lower at 1,600, and that one still isn't sold as of yet. That one, if it goes any lower, I think it will pretty quick. But that's just something to note that, again, don't get caught up in FOMO and whatnot. These are very, very limited cards. Do I know, they could, I don't see them falling in price, and, I actually kind of see the opposite. But if there's a limit, you got to be careful when you see just a one seller with with a card that's the bulk of them going through right now. So just keep a cautious eye, and it was something to note afterwards. I don't like that it relisted. Not it didn't relist. One sold and another comes up, and that's just something that again, always be cautious. But I love this card. I absolutely love this card. So I love the rare stuff. So just a hair follow up on afterwards. That's why the other one's gone and this price has increased. So that being said, let's get on to some auctions that I saw. Oh, and really quick, I know there's I forgot the name. I could go out. It starts with the W, like Weiss something. He's asking for the 86 to do a video on the 86 card set. I will do that. Yes, it's coming up. I have a couple. There's a couple of videos always ahead that I want to do, and I really that video will go into my data typing. So I'll talk to it as soon as I can get to it, which will be in kind of the next couple weeks if possible. But within a month, I'll do a video on it and talk to that. So I did want to mention that. So here we go. We have tonight again. PSA 6 ends in 10 hours, which would be about looks like about 5 o'clock or 8 o'clock Eastern time, 5 Pacific. So those are the time frames we're looking at, and these are kind of mid-grade, like lights, low grade. This is kind of cool for anyone who wants a cheap 117. Here's your chance at 13. There's only one bid on it, and that ends in about 10 hours as well. We have an 8.5. This one's an 8.5 light for 925, and I'm not going to go into each individual ones for you to go in and make sure that it all looks good to you. So Miller Lite 8.5 with some really nice subs to it is only at 1,000 right now, so go check that out. You have the all rookie. I actually really like this card. And this card's at only like 470. It's a 3. It's a low grade, but this is, again, this is those chances to go in and pick these up. PSA 5 or PSA 6, I'm sorry, looks at about 600, and that's 12 hours. And this one ends tomorrow, but here is a graded 1. I think I looked at this, and it's a pretty big crease through it, but still, it kind of, other than the crease, it kind of shows nice. It's not totally shredded, but it's, obviously condition's not good for a 1, but that's only at 662. And then we have, I think this one's at a 1 as well, a 195, and this one's at 910. And that ends tomorrow. Another one that ends tomorrow is this Crunch at a PSA 4 at 1,000. Then you have this Miller Lite at 1,200. Ends tomorrow, PSA 6. Then you have the Gatorade, and that's at PSA 6. That's ends tomorrow as well, only at 800 plus. This was a bigger one, but it does end tomorrow. BGS 8.5 for the 288. Be interesting to see where this goes, because the marketplace is starting to really just price by PSA. Whatever the crossover is, that's what the market is pricing at. So it's keeping an eye, but it does look at BGS, the grades. This will go higher than, like, say it could only cross to a PSA 6. This would go higher, quite a bit higher than that. But that weightness, the weightiness and heaviness of the PSA crossover is definitely there. So a Court Kings 9.5, and this ends tomorrow. Gem Mint for the Court Kings, and that's at 3,150. So for you Gem Mint chasers, that's interesting to see. And another one that ends tomorrow is a Miller Lite 9, BGS 9 at 2,500 right now. And we also have a 7.5 that ends in 3 days, and that's going to be at 700 right now. Another one that's ending in 3 days is a BGS 7.5 Gatorade. Here's the Slam Dunk, the 85 Super at 913 on a BGS 8, and that ends also in 3 days. And another 3-dayer is a 195 at 700 for a 4. And again, in 3 days, this one, I love this card too. The last 11 at 1,500 for an 8.5 BGS. We also have the Super, Jordan's first, not first, but first Bull, the only one, Bulls Super for Jordan, 8.5, so a pretty high grade. And that's up. And again, that one's in 3 days too. And I love things like this, the Prism sticker, the Inner Lake, all of Jordan's kind of first cards, not rookies, but their first cards. Early cards of MJ that are that rookie year kind of stuff, and it's cool to see. So that's, if you're looking for a high end copy, that's a PSA 7. Horrible picture with the slant. That's the hard thing about some of those. They don't exactly encase well, but that's at 4,000 for a PSA 7. And again, so a little further out now, we're talking, coming up to where Tony will cover in the auction kind of thing. So I won't talk about these, but in 4 days, there's a couple of other, kind of lower end or mid end Jordans that are up, and it's just like a kind of a wave of them. So I definitely wanted to talk to them today and let you know that they're out there. So, check them out if you're interested in any of those, and I will see you at the next video.